Hello everybody and welcome back to the Night Garden. I am Vamp and I'm here to talk to you about art today. And today I'm not going to be talking about the piece that's on the screen so much as the thought process throughout making it. So this piece, if you're curious, is something that I am drawing as a redo of two old pieces combined into one. It's concept art for a battle towards the end of On Broken Wings, which is a IP that I put together years ago, several years ago, and have tried to tackle in the past and ultimately let it slide to the wayside. And now I'm thinking about potentially bringing it back. The thing about this is that it is a fairly dynamic piece, and it is a little bit harder to draw. There are some towers in the back that are kind of complex, and there are two characters, so always when you have multiple characters in one scene, you have to make sure that your proportions are correct and everything like that. I'm personally not confident in my anatomy skills most of the time, so I spend a long time on the sketch phase of a character. But anyway, little victories. So what do I mean by that? When you're doing a harder piece, it's really easy to be overwhelmed and just not want to touch it at all. It's really easy to burn out. It's really easy to go, oh, there's just too much to do with this. I don't want to touch this idea because it's not going to come together as quickly as I would like it to. Or I don't know where to start. So Little Victories comes into play when we're talking about the sub-steps to finishing something. It is, all right, here's my sketch. What do I need to sketch? Do I need to sketch the background? Background's done. Okay, then let's do the midground. Okay, midground's done. What's next? The characters. Okay, let's double check our composition. Okay, each one of those being checked off the list is going to be a little victory. So it's a lot easier to convince yourself to sit down for half an hour than it is to convince yourself to sit down for like a 6, 7, 8, 12, 15, 20, 30 hour piece. So if you tell yourself, oh, I just need to get this one aspect done, then you can take a break, work on something else or take a step away from your setup, and there you go. What I did here on the screen, you can kind of tell that I started with my finished sketch and then I went through my flatting phases, and then I was inspired to work on this. So I started actually rendering, which this whole video is only sped up about 7 times, so it's about 2.5 hours worth of work. And I got a lot done in those 2.5 hours, but that's because I was inspired by the little victories I kept hitting. Okay, my flats are done in the background. All right, cool. Now let's get the clouds done. All right, awesome. Now let's get those towers done. Cool. All right, now the characters. Awesome. So each one of those was a little victory. If you can find a way to break your piece down into actionable steps, it's going to be a lot easier to make something that's more dynamic and larger than life, and something that you feel you can't hit at your current skill set. So keep that in mind when you're working. Another thing that is really nice about tackling something in the little victories mindset is that if you fail at something, then it feels like less of a failure than failing the entire piece. So maybe I'm not happy with how one of the characters came out. Okay, well, let's delete that character. It doesn't mean I have to scrap the whole piece, right? Or say that the shading on one of these towers, and I will say that I actually did restart the lighting on the tower on the left. Maybe I'm not happy with that shading step, so okay, let's redo the light. It's not going to be redoing the entire thing. It's not trashing the entire piece. And then it feels like less of a time waste because doing that lighting only took me about 20 minutes as opposed to the 5 or 6 hours that got me to this point, right? At the end of the day, it is very hard to come up with motivation and inspiration out of the blue. And one of the ways that you keep going, if you don't necessarily wake up gung-ho to work on something, is just by breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. So keep that in mind next time that you approach a larger piece. And I hope that this kind of makes sense to you. For now, I'm going to let the music fade up, and then I will be back at the end of the video. And so there we have it. I'm going to pop up the original pieces and the initial sketch if you guys are interested in seeing. And here those are. Here is also where I ended the drawing for today. It still very much has a lot to do, but the moon was one little victory, the sky was one little victory, and that left tower was one little victory. So I've gotten 3 steps off of that to-do list. I'm excited to go back to working on this next time that I have some time to. So with that, I hope that you are all taking care of yourselves, drink your water and do what you can, and I hope that you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next Friday. Bye, everybody.